So this is coming hot off the heels of my cat video, where I want to say adulthood is about parenting yourself. That was like a profound insight for me. And I can't remember where I got that. Probably just a mix of, reading a bunch of different things and listening to a bunch of different things. But so there's a J.K. Rowling quote where she says there's an expiry date to when you can blame your parents for the way you are. And I was thinking about, what is adulthood? Is it getting married? Because there are adults who get married, and there are people who don't get married, and they are hardly. And there are people who don't get married who are adults, and there are people who get married and they are very childish, right? So is it having a job? Again, there are people with jobs who are childish. There are people who are jobless but trying very hard. And then is it having kids? Again, the same thing. Blah blah blah. Like every step of the way, when you try to come up with a definition of adulthood, there are people who meet the definition but don't count, but somehow strike you as not very adult, and there are people who fail to meet the definition but should be described as adults. And I think one of the surest signs of adulthood is when you can take care of yourself, and when you make the effort to take care of yourself and you do your best to make sure that your shit doesn't spill over on other people. So cleaning up after other people is a very adult attribute, very adult trait, right? So even in groups of friends, there are some people who get drunk and others who clean up the puke. And so in that group, the designated driver is the adult of the group, right? And it's not so much that adults are supposed to clean up shit all the time, but being able to protect other people from shit, I think that is the mark of provision. I'm sure that's still just half the definition. I'm sure the other half of the definition is because you can't just be a provider and consider yourself an adult because of that, right? So the definition that I like is adulthood is being your own parent, or parenting yourself. That means deciding what you eat, deciding when you should go to sleep, deciding what kind of information you want to put in your head, who you want to hang out with, and being very deliberate about that the way a parent would be about a child. And the thing is, a parent can impose their will on the children without thinking about what is best for the child, which is very depressing. I think Van Morrison said that, family commits murder with smiles on their faces, which is they force you to kill who you really are, which is a subtle kind of murder. And I'm sure we do that to ourselves as well. I get a lot of utility from thinking about how ideas about groups of people can work for thinking about yourself. So there's a lot of different thinking tools and metaphors you can use for making sense of these things. And sometimes I imagine there's a saboteur in my head who's trying to sabotage me and ruin my life. But I realize that guy is the dominant part of my mind, the child, the elephant. So I think Dan and Chip Heath came up with this. They wrote a book called Switch. Is it Switch? They wrote a book about controlling yourself, and they say there's three parts to behavior change, right? There's the elephant, the subconscious, the part of you that is greater than yourself and you can't control it entirely. And then there's the part of you that's conscious, and you're that's the elephant rider trying to control the elephant. And then there's the path, the environment, the context in which the elephant rider and the elephant are operating in. And if you want to change your behavior, you're trying to steer the elephant, right? And if you read Wait But Why, Tim Urban's post about procrastination, he talks about the instant gratification monkey, the person, and the panic monster. And again, the instant gratification monkey is like the elephant, right? It's that inside yourself that is difficult to control. It is. Some people can do it well, but controlling it requires skill, requires finesse, requires understanding. Self-control is really challenging. At least for me, and I'm sure it is for a lot of people. It's a skill you have to develop. It's like becoming strong. Once you become strong, lifting heavy stuff becomes easier, but it's only easy because you worked so hard at it before. And so I think adulthood for me is about taking responsibility for that, taking ownership for that, realizing that if I sleep late, it's on me. And my impulse right now, I'm not gonna feel like sleeping early. The elephant or the monkey inside me is gonna be like, hey, stay up all night, stay online, do whatever you like, it's your life. But I have to be the adult as well, and be okay. And it's not just about laying down the law, do what I say, be stop being fun. I think that's a recipe for failure, because you can't just be the adult. Just as how when you try to force children to do something, in like a horrible way without any love, they will retaliate or respond in a negative way. I think the same thing happens within ourselves. I think we can't control ourselves as perfectly as we pretend. So we have to listen to ourselves the way we would have to listen to somebody else, or the way we would have to listen to a kid. And so I have to make deals with myself. I have to listen to myself. Why do you want to stay up so late? Oh, I wanna have fun. Okay, but we also have responsibilities. We have stuff at work we need to do. We have to clean up the house and take care of the cats. So I'll cut you a deal. We sleep early today, and tomorrow morning we'll go for a run. And after we go for a run, you have half an hour to, do whatever you like. And I recognize that, about a decade ago, when people told me to cut deals with myself like that, I'd just be like, bullshit, why should I have to bother? Why don't I just, I think Hyperbole and a Half has a great comic about the procrastination game or the motivation game, which is like, why do I need to motivate myself with something when I can just enjoy the thing right now, right? Why eat the chocolate after doing a test, after doing your homework, when you can just eat the chocolate now? And I realized that that the problem with that is that your subconscious begins to so cheesy as it is, you're only cheating yourself, and that's totally fine until you want to do something, until you really want to do something difficult and challenging, like you want to write a novel or you want to contribute in some way. And when you try to do it, you realize you can't because your subconscious has just given up on you. Your inner child is beyond parental control, right? And you don't want to get there. So you can bitch about your parents, and you can bitch about the way other people raise their children, and there's so many things we can bitch about. But that's your circle of concern, right? There's so many things we can be concerned about. But the one thing we really can influence is ourselves. If you have grand parenting theories, but you don't have kids, you are your own parent. You're parenting yourself. How well are you doing that? That's something to think about. Done.